This is Gilbert Andrew Garcia. Listen to my radio show, A Tip from Gilbert. Talk, inspiration, and prayer every Monday from 11 a.m. till noon on Houston's gospel leader, KWWJ. 1360 AM and streaming live on kwwj.org. Listen on the legendary KYOK 1140 AM and streaming live on kyokradio.org. KCOH 1230 AM, The Source. On San Geek Radio 95.1 FM 1460 AM. And Aliento Radio 101.7 FM and 1540 AM. Call in at 832-570-8075 and follow me on social media. See you then. All right, Houston, you have me with another tip from Gilbert. Of course, I'm Gilbert Garcia, and I can't wait for this episode. And first, let me just introduce my guest, and then we're going to be talking about lots of things. And this is Mr. Dwight Boykins. Of course, we all know Dwight because he's been involved with the community really his whole life. So, Dwight, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here. When I got the call, it was Secret Service and FBI. Everybody came, knocked on the door, and said, Mr. Garcia requested you to be at this show. I said, I'm there, man.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. Well, Dwight, we're going to get into lots of things with you. Before we do that, everyone knows on the air that my sister-in-law has been going through cancer. And then, of course, we've all have really lived and celebrated the life of Sheila Jackson Lee for several episodes. And boy, do we love her, and we'll continue to celebrate her life. And we'll comment about her and what she meant to you, because I know it was a lot. I want to say a prayer for my sister-in-law. And as you know, we do that, and we have for a couple of weeks now. It's amazing, Dwight, how people, when they're going through the most toughest times, she's got this aura of just goodness. And I just can't help but to say, and Dwight, maybe I'm just a normal human, right? Which is, I think I'd be mad at God. I think I'd be mad at everyone if I was going through this treatment. I think I'd just be so down and out. Not her. It's incredible, and it's just incredible. I'm going to let you go. Just go ahead. Tell me.
No, I was asking which system.
Oh, I'm so sorry. My wife's brother's wife.
Okay.
So
okay.
It's not on my side. Excuse me. I apologize.
Okay.
Her name is Tanya.
Okay.
Tanya. And she is so incredible. And she comes to town because she does the treatment here at MD Anderson, even though they live in the Valley. Of course, they live in a border town, which is only about 10,000 people. So this is the big city. And it is the big city for anybody. But, of course, we have the greatest medical center in the world. And it's another shout-out for those folks over at MD Anderson because, my gosh, they're just incredible. And they're so graceful, and they're just so loving and caring. And when you have something going through a difficult time, they're so wonderful as a source of inspiration. So if everybody would please just listen to me for 1 second. This is a prayer for the sick. And it says, Dear Jesus, divine physician and healer of the sick, return to you in this time of illness. O dearest comforter of the troubled, alleviate our worry and sorrow with your gentle love, and grant us the grace and strength to accept this burden. Dear God, we place our worries in your hands. We place our sick under your care and humbly ask that you restore your servant to health again. Above all, grant us the grace to acknowledge your will and know whatever you do for the love of us. Amen. So
Amen.
That's for you, Tanya. And of course, I haven't been able to talk all about the Democratic National Convention, but I had a blast there. I was there. Two of my partners were there. We got to see all sorts of state treasurers. We got to see all kinds of things. Of course, we were there partly with Claude Cummins, who's, of course, the head of CWA and a real amazing gentleman. And when you're Claude Cummins and you're head of the CWA and you're there in your suite, everybody comes to you. And I mean, just in the 30 minutes I was with him, the Secretary of Labor came, several members of Congress, Bernie Sanders came. It was him, the head of SEIU. It was really quite an event. And so I just want to give a shout out to him. But let's now go to Mr. Dwight Boykins. Dwight, so let me ask you something. Are you ready for this election?
Absolutely.
I mean, tell me about it. I mean, what does it mean to you that we might elect? And I say might because I believe we're going to elect, and I think we should. And all my listeners, I mean, listen, I know it's supposed to be nonpartisan, but come on, it's me. And I love the whole thing where those nieces said it's Kamala. We're going to elect the first African-American female and the whole Southeast Asian, et cetera, president of the United States. Is that unbelievable? Did you ever think you were going to see that in your lifetime?
I had hope. You know, I go back to Ann Richards' days. You know, we had our first female governor of the state of Texas. And you look at me, I mean, riding around the city in my pickup truck, Gilbert, I have my Ann Richards bumper sticker. Yeah, man. And
come on, that's
yes,
wonderful.
sir. And so I believe it, man. And Kamala, and like you said, I love how the nieces did that deal.
Yeah, right.
It's Kamala. And but she's not only ready for the job, man, the most qualified candidate we've had. And I used to say that about Secretary Clinton until Kamala became the vice president, and they elevated her. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
And you know, it's interesting how someone like that, who's so remarkable, the haters come out, you know, and it's just silly things like, you know, what's the silliness about and black jobs? And I thought Michelle Obama was the best when she said, you know what, he may be going after one of those black jobs. You know, it's just the haters come out and they've said that she's the queen of DEI. I mean, all these sorts of things. When in reality, no one said anything about that about Dan Quayle.
Right.
I mean, you know, and here we had this incredible prosecutor, all her background, attorney general as VP, and they wanted to say, well, she's not qualified to be president. What are you talking about? She was the VP. If something happened to President Biden, she'd be the president.
Yes.
Of course she's qualified. It's just the haters come out and they got to throw hate and mud and misinformation.
Well, before I go any further, Gilbert, you jumped out in front of me. I didn't get a chance to say this is my first time on your show. And I want to thank you and your family for giving yourself and your time up to become a candidate for mayor of the city of Houston. I'm going to tell you, a lot of people don't realize the sacrifice that comes with that. So thank you. And you had a real good program and vision for our city. And I hope you don't give up. I want to thank you also for building those homes in the inner city community to help people, man. That's big. And it's what you do when you're not elected or running for office, Gilbert. And so I want to thank you, your brother Roland, and your family, man, for just being involved in our city. But you and your wife and your kids, man, y'all did it. So thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Let me say also we have this issue in our community, man. And for the KYOK, KCOH listeners, all those guys, they know what I'm talking about. The brothers in our community are thinking that Trump is their candidate.
Gosh.
No, let me remind them of what, but let me, it was a guy yesterday. I was talking to him and he kept going, 35 years of age, real nice, very sharp. I said, hey, young man, let me ask you a question. Do me a favor. If you can Google this and then with your heart of hearts, come back and tell me you still want to support this man. Well, I'm not saying, I said, but you sound like you want to support it. Okay. You're repeating a lie. I said, if you support this guy, when you Google this, I'll give you $100. I said, go and Google what happened in New York when those 5 young black men was falsely arrested, came out, the DA apologized, he received restitution, and Trump came out and ran an article trying to get the judge to reverse the ruling. I said, that could have been you, your nephew, your brother, your son. Yeah. I said, check it out yourself, man. I said, this man is he will use you to get to where you want to get, period.
And you know, they did a show on that on Netflix, which is, it's a movie.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable what they did. And you know what? If it were to have been a bunch of white kids, it never would have happened. Never would have happened. Just like you saw the player Hill on the
Tyreek Hill.
Yes. I mean, can you imagine that? I know I'm jumping all over the place, but I'm excited. Let's go back to what you wanted to talk about. This gentleman. So did you really educate him to say, wait a minute, and look at who he's benefited on these tax cuts and all the things he's done? It's not helping him. It's helping the people that don't need to be helped because they're already billionaires, and you know it doesn't matter to them because they're so rich. They're beyond comprehension on wealth. But they don't want to share.
But Gilbert, let me say what Trump is doing was very strategic. He started a year out with this coffee cognac cigar deal, and he would get Gilbert Garcia, Dwight Boykins, John Doe, Jane Doe to pull together 3 or 4 African Americans, and then they will build on that. This is a year and a half out against Biden, and they would have this conversation, and they would repeat the lie that Trump and misleading information that Trump would tell the young brother who thinking that he gonna have influence with Trump.
Yeah.
If Trump would win.
That's right.
And you and I know he wouldn't even return the man's call.
He won't even return his own cabinet's call.
So anyway, that's what happened. And so we're making certain that number, when my understanding, when Biden was the candidate, African Americans that were potentially voting for Trump was at 14%. And when Kamala made the announcement, it went down to 8%. I can guarantee with election time, it's going to go down probably to 2-3%. Because this man here, and then he gonna try to identify with blacks, saying you can identify with me because I'm going through the criminal justice system. Fool. Fool.
I mean,
how stupid is that?
I mean,
man?
He's probably spending $50 million on legal fees. I mean, he can afford to do that. So this isn't.
We'll assume that. No, you can file for bankruptcy. All these people assume people have what they have.
That's right. But one thing for sure, this ain't the normal brother out there that needs representation. I mean, right? I mean, this is not the normal. Yeah. This is not normal.
Yeah. And then this cat, Janora and I have been married almost 40 years, and we don't have any children, right? And then his running mate gonna tell us we're not even, we shouldn't even be in this world because we don't have children.
Yeah.
This fool is crazy. So I sent him a Facebook page.
Did you?
Oh, hell yeah. And I hadn't heard anything. I wish I could meet him, man. I wish I could meet this cat. You know, not just my wife and I, but other people. You never know the situation why they don't have children. And you're going to make some kind of blanket statement like that, Gilbert. I wish I could meet him.
Yeah, you cannot judge people. What do they say? You never judge anyone unless you've walked in their shoes.
Period.
You should not judge people. It just should show you how desperate they are to appeal to this mean base.
Yeah.
That they'll just say things that I'm going to give him some credit, maybe I shouldn't, that he knows is not true, but yet he's just saying it to somehow to get votes. That's just terrible. Well, let's go back to, did you see the video on Hill?
Yeah.
There he was on the ground, and they had him, on the ground with this, and this is like one of the most successful persons in America, certainly one of the most successful ball players. Now, if they can do that to him, they can do it to anybody.
Yeah, working at the district attorney, Gilbert, for a short stint, you kind of learn some things, and I have no evidence of what happened except with the video. I don't know what Tyreek said, if anything, to the officer that got him upset. So we don't know, and we'll figure that out. In Florida, I don't understand the laws in terms of getting him out the car, how all that stuff worked. But what my eyes saw, I thought was inappropriate, and to put the man, regardless of Tyreek Hill or Gilbert or Dwight, face him on the ground and handcuff him, something. He was close to putting his knee on his neck. I noticed that, but they kind of pulled back on that. I don't understand what happened, man. And I'm looking forward to get the facts on this thing.
And there were like several officers around him. Well, the facts need to come out. And at the end of the day, let's use it for good, which is reform. Yeah. So people know, and that way it won't happen to others.
But the only way we're going to get reform, we get a Democratic House, a Democratic Senate, and a Democratic president.
Amen. Let me go back for something.
Yeah.
Tell us about working the DA's office. What all did you see? I mean, you got to see, and if this is not in our lane, I just don't know enough when I hear things about, people say, oh, we're letting out prisoners and this and that. That can't be true. And I just don't understand. Do you have an opinion on what's happening with the whole thing about bail reform and these sorts of things?
Yeah, well, I'm not a lawyer, number one.
Yeah,
let me start with that. But number two, I walked in with blinders, like, you asking the question, and I had to learn a lot. And I thank Kim Ogg for giving me that opportunity. But let me say this to you. The DA does not let people out of jail. I didn't know this.
Yeah.
What happens if nobody report a case, they have nothing to do. So every case that comes to the district attorney's office, what I learned, someone call, give them a tip to investigate. And they go, or some crime take place. So they go and investigate it. They present the information to the grand jury, and then the grand jury determine if it's a true bill or no bill, which I've served on several grand jurors, true bill, no bill. Then that's when it's assigned to a court. The DA doesn't do, they're just a middle person. And I had to learn that. I tell you, it got my attention. And I just wonder, I take my hat off to the people who want to do that kind of work, Gilbert. because it can, I think it can shell shock you if you do it 30 years. You get concerned about people's motives. I mean, you're human, and I just wonder. 2 years was enough for me, and I'm grateful that Kim Hall gave me the opportunity.
Well, you're better for it.
Yeah.
And you're more informed, and I think that makes you a better community service leader.
Yeah,
for sure. Let's go back to something. I want to talk a little bit about serving on council.
Yeah.
What was that like? Was it the time of your life? I mean, you were one that I greatly admired because I don't know how to say this, but you just said it like it was. You know what I mean? Some people are just there and they're a rubber stamp for the mayor, or they're grandstanding because they want to be mayor, or somehow it's always around that. You just said what was.
Gilbert, I'm not saying it blowing smoke up your behind. You would have been the kind of mayor that you see me as, and it's because you're doing it for the right reason. And God bless my wife and I. We're in good shape financially. We're okay, and I didn't go down there to try to kiss nobody's ass.
Yeah.
I went down there to help people, in particular seniors and folk who needed second chances. And I did that. I fulfilled my commitment that I told voters I was going to do, which is outside of the city. It was a program I set up because I wanted to do it for the people in the city. And when I served under Denise Parker for 2 years, and I was new. Mm-hmm. And I tell you, her style, and then I had an opportunity to serve with Turner for 4 years. Her style was totally different than Turner. And Denise Parker, man, if every time I see her now, I just hug her. I came to her and I said, Mayor, we need a grocery store in our district to deal with food deserts. I'm going to go find the money because I do a little work in Washington. And I went up to HUD and met with the Deputy Secretary of HUD, excuse me, and we found some money, Section 108 money that we partnered with Houston Housing Finance Corp to put the money on their books, rather. And we built an HEB off of 288 North McGregor. She didn't have to do that. She could have used that money for something else, but because I went to her. And, and then I had an opportunity to work with Turner. It was a different relationship. Mm-hmm. And, but I had a great one with her niece. And, when you want to serve Gibbon, and I'm telling you this, man, because I looked at the candidates in your race, you were for the people. It was just a crowded race. That's all it was. Yep. And that's what it's about when you're serving. And when people know your heart is there, you tend to get more respect and people will follow you. But don't lie to them. Yep. If you're going to tell them you're going to do something, do it. And again, if you have to use city resources, federal, state, county, do that. If not private money, go and do it because the people count on you.
That's right.
Never forget that.
That's right. Well, I, of course, think the world of Elise Parker.
Yeah.
I was her campaign chairman, and she gave me the chance of a lifetime and gave me the opportunity to serve as Metro chairman. Mm-hmm. No one would have ever done that but her. Mm-hmm. And I remember some of the boys downtown, as they mm-hmm. say, they tried to dress me down. They said to me, we never heard of you, Gilbert. What makes you qualified? And they just were dressing me down there in the Coronado Club, right? Mm. And I just took it all, and I said, well, you know what? They go, we never heard of you. They couldn't have been more arrogant and rude. Mm-hmm. I said, well, you know what, gentlemen? I've had a great time. I said, but guess what? I'm the new Metro chair. And if you have a problem with that, you can talk to my boss. That's Denise Parker. And I got up and left. Oh, these guys were just terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
But one thing I want to give you credit for, again, I went to Metro. I can't recall what the issue was. You was chairman, and I was watching you from a distance. You don't even know this, man. You had your shirt on, no tie, your sleeves rolled up, and people were coming up left and right. And in public session, people tend to forget who's sitting behind the table, mm-hmm. that folk riding a bus down there are catching a ride to come and voice their opinion, whether City Hall or Metro. And you would let everybody, if they were talking and the bell rung, I'm telling you what you did.
Yep.
And you would let them continue. I said, man, that brother there, that's what I'm talking about. So I commend you for that when you own Metro. We don't have that a lot, man.
Well, in my view is this. We serve the people.
Yep.
And they're going to come all the way down and you're going to give them 1 minute. Come on. And the other thing that would upset me is when you look around, they'll put them at the back.
Yeah.
So they got to be there all day long. They're missing work. Forget it. I put them at the front because we serve them.
I didn't know that. That's a good deal.
Yeah, I put them at the front. There was the very first thing we let a public session happen at the beginning so they could go back to work.
Yeah, I got to tell you some real fun about Mayor Parker. So when I got down there, it was a gentleman, I don't know if he's still alive, named President Joseph Charles.
Yes, I do. President Charles. Yeah, he would come to the Metro all the time.
And one time he came down to City Hall and he kept going, and I hope and pray that man's still alive. Yep. I don't know what's going on with him. If he was in the center or something, I would go see him. He probably wouldn't recognize me. But anyway, President Charles kept going, and they hit the bell on him, and I hit the buzzer to extend his time. I said, finish, Mr. Charles. Yep. And the mayor called me after the council meeting. She said, Dwight, we don't. I said, Mayor, I understand. I just want to give this man an extra minute.
I mean, but I'll tell you something. One of the things about Metro is, and I'm going to come back to you, but one thing about Metro was you never know who you're going to learn from.
Yes.
And there were a couple of people that would be speakers at Metro. And, they're just everyday people and everyday writers. And I would learn so much from them. Mm-hmm. And there were a couple that I would recognize that, my goodness, they really know what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. And I would convene a meeting with 3 or 4 of them, and we would get together about once a quarter to talk about Metro. Mm-hmm. I learned so much from these people. The bus lady, Dominic, Jeff Ragsdale. I know them I just know them. And I love them. Because you never know. You cannot judge a book by its cover and just look at them and say, oh, they don't know. Mm-hmm. Not true. In fact, they knew every route. They know the drivers. They would videotape things on the phone of hitting their hand on the bus seat to show me all the dirt. Mm-hmm. They would do those sorts of things. They were my eyes and ears of Metro. They were fantastic. I loved them. Yeah. So I want to go, before we go into something, I want to make sure we talk about the firefighters. Okay. Before we go to the firefighters, so I want to talk about you again, if you don't mind. Okay. Which is, who inspired you? Well, first of all, young Dwight went to school where? Where did you go to high school?
Whippy Elementary, okay. Cullen Junior High, and the one and only best high school in the world, Stephen F. Austin High School.
There you go. And your parents, tell us about your parents. I'm just trying to figure out what made you you.
Well, coming from a single parent, but my father's deceased and my stepfather's deceased. Just a mother who had a belt and a stick and a switch. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to try to live the way my mother would want me to. And she raised some good boys.
Is she still with us or no?
Yeah, she's still with us.
Oh, I bet she's so proud of you.
Oh, she is, man. She's proud of all her boys. We just lost another brother last Saturday.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we buried him. But she raised him. But the guy who got me involved in politics, Gilbert, was over at Duncantail.
What a legend he is, right?
I know you know him. Yeah.
Oh, I know him well. Uh-huh. I know him well.
So we were living in these apartments called 4th Missionary Village off of Scott and Quarter. And I remember as a kid, he got free. And when I saw him one time, I brought it up to him. And he got free labor from me as a kid, passing out his cards. I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah. And talking about voting. But I recall him saying he just wanted to help some people. And I heard that. Didn't know what the word politics meant. Yeah. But he wanted to help some people. And then later on, Gerald Womack ran for state representative. He lived over there with us, his mother and his brothers and sisters against Al Edwards during that time. And the late Al, and Gerald had us helping out a little bit. So I started watching and noticing that there are ways that people can be helped. The only thing I knew about the government was government cheese, stuff that the pot of milk that we had. And then I said, but here's a way that government can help people based on what I'm hearing. And then, fast forward, I got close to Dan Rich's campaign through Booker Mars and Attorney Booker Mars, and we just took off, and we were traveling the state of Texas in small towns, motivating and registering African-American voters in these small towns. And then Sheila ran for Congress and against Craig in Washington. Both of them are good friends. And Booker asked me to come help with Sheila's campaign. And I did. And she won, and I just stayed close to Sheila. And so it built from Duncantail all the way up to Sheila, Gilbert, to just kind of see the need. I only help people who want to help people, not because they were running for office. Right. If that makes sense.
It does. We had Gerald Womack, on our show. Okay. Not that long ago. Another gentleman. Yeah. A hard worker. Mm-hmm. But let's go back. So when did you decide I'm going to run for office? That had to be a big move for you because, or maybe it wasn't. Maybe you had seen so much and you're like, damn it, I just got to help some people. So I'm going to run. But what did a light bulb go out, or do you tell your wife, honey, you know what? I think I'm going to run. How did it go for you?
I just call it discernment, man. God got a calling for all of us. And I tell people all the time who want to run up to me talking about, Dwight, I want to do this. I said, what is your calling in life? Because when when God put you in a position to use resources to help his people and you use them for something else, brother, you got a problem with him. So my goal is to make certain that myself and other people, Gilbert, that I get behind are people who wants to help. Like when Beto O'Rourke ran for governor, I got on board with him because of his platform to help people. That's what's important, because I'm telling you, I'm not going to heaven and God said, I put you in a position to help my people. You use that opportunity for yourself.
That's right.
That's how I govern.
Amen. So go back. So when you ran, you decided, I'm going to run for council.
I'm going to run for council.
And then, so you win.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't run the first time?
No, that was my third time. My good friend, Carol Robinson, ran on the back. Judson Robinson had come out. So the Robinson name was strong in the black community. And Crow was an excellent candidate and close friend now, and very, very smart. And he won that race. And right after that, when we had 2-year terms, Gordon Quan beat me, and it was a close race, but it was a good one. And Gordon and I, man, he lost Sylvia, by the way. I saw.
There's the things next week, I think.
Okay, I need to get
I'll send you the information.
Yeah, but Gordon and Sylvia, that's why I met Sylvia. Gordon beat me, and then I vowed I would never do it again. So Gilbert, I hope you don't do like I did. And I said I would never do it again, and I just kept saying it, and God put it on my heart, man. I'm telling you. And this District D came up, and I had a vision. Dallas Jones, my consultant, said, Dwight, we poll education the number one issue. I said, man, I'm running on second chance and helping my seniors, period. It ain't polling. And there were 11 people in the race, and we had 43% of the vote.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You got to talk to people, Gilbert. Yeah. When you run, you got to make certain you're running to serve people so they won't say, I don't see nothing that you've done in my community.
Yeah. Hold that thought. We got lots of callers already on hold. Let's go to Yvette. Is there an Yvette on?
Yes. Hi, Gilbert. How are you?
Good. Yvette, welcome. What do you got for me or Mr. Dwight Boykins on a tip from Gilbert?
Yes. Hi, Dwight. It's wonderful to be able to connect with you on the show today. The city appreciates everything that you've done for us, and we thank you for that. And, I just wanted to personally say my husband's a Houston firefighter.
Way to go. Way to go.
Yeah, I've been in the department 15 years, and, the news recently about the pay parity and for the big, pay increase with the firefighters was wonderful. And, it's something that was way overdue, much needed, just for the day-to-day life of the firefighter and what they do for the city as well. So it's something that was very exciting. One, I was curious just as your thoughts on it. And also, have you talked to firefighters after the pay parity increase? And just curious to see what you've heard from them.
Well, I'm going to tee him up because I could say some things that maybe he doesn't want to share. I can't think of a better friend of the Houston firefighters and Dwight Boykins. I mean it. From the table when he, didn't have to, and of course it was counter to the mayor's position and the city's position, he was always saying, we got to take care of our firefighters because they're the first ones out. They're the first ones out there. They're the ones that are sacrificing. They're, living away from their families 3 days a week or however it is, 3 days, 3 on, et cetera. I could tell you firsthand, and I know that, and I lived it. Go, Dwight, tell us.
Well, first of all, Yvette, which station, what's your husband's name, Yvette?
Sure, it's Albert Duenas. He's out at Station 28 right near the Galleria.
How many years he has in?
15.
15. Okay. Well, tell him he knows what I mean. Congratulations on the 7 years. Hey, Yvette, first of all, let me thank you and your family for sacrificing. Gil was absolutely correct about, for the listeners who may not be aware, the sacrifice of 24 hours on the shift. You know what I'm talking about, Yvette. And I tell people all the time, the issue I had at city council was so much in the opposite direction of the current mayor during that time, was that the voters passed pay parity. I don't care if they would have denied it. I wouldn't have been working hard for the firefighters. They passed it. It's our job as elected officials to make this thing work. And Gilbert, I asked you back then, it was $67 million, 67. And I asked the mayor to put in a garbage fee. and that would have covered
I remember.
Yeah, it would cover that, and we were giving more equipment for the solid waste and put them on the enterprise fund. Just like other cities, I did analysis all around the state.
They all have a garbage fee.
They all have it, and it was minimum. We were exempting certain seniors, the whole 9 yards. But long story short, the men and women of the fire department went through so much stress, depression, issues at home because they went almost 10 years with no pay raise, man, broken down equipment, people like Yvette stepping up when they're depressed, and then be told we're going to gut your pension?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
That was horrible.
I mean, it couldn't have been a more terrible situation to gut their pension. And for those of you who don't know, of course, and again, these are just facts. The mayor really, Turner, won with the firefighter support.
Yep.
And what's the first thing he did? Because he kept saying, we're not going to touch their pension. And of course, it was Bill King who said he's going to have to because the math doesn't work. And sure enough, our so-called pension reform, all it did was take money out of the firefighters' pension fund to shore up the others. That's all it did. And so going back, I can imagine, Yvette, I mean, your husband, and I'm not trying to get personal, but he must have been just, I mean, you can't be upbeat going to work every day knowing I haven't gotten a raise, and all I hear is from the mayor and everybody else to beat me down. And, I mean, he could not have been coming home happy, right? I mean, you can't.
No, it was horrible.
How is it now?
Good. Things have changed, with the increase in pay that they received. There's more of a positive morale, within the firefighters, I feel. And the continued, the want to continue to work and stay a firefighter, because after you hear so many things, I believe, soon after once they took away some of their pension, that, he was getting calls from Fort Worth. He was getting calls from quite a number of other cities, like, hey, we have opportunities here. We'd love to have you, but his heart was here in Houston and, excited to stay here. And so for something like this to happen, it was a good thing.
So be sure and tell Albert, thank you, Yvette. I mean, that's very weird because she's right. A lot of them left Houston, and people like Albert and others. And again, Yvette, to you and the spouses, thank you all for your sacrifice.
That means a lot. Thank you.
Well, Yvette, thank you for joining us. We have more callers, though, Dwight, but we're going to talk more about the firefighters. I see a Vicky. Is there a Vicky there? Vicky, are you there? She hung up. Let's the next person. I know there's several people on hold. We're going to come to you. I promise. Don't hang up. Vicky, call back. Who was the next person there? Hold up my board. Alejandra or Alejandro? Alejandra. Alejandra, are you there? Yeah. Alejandra. Are you there, Alejandra?
Yes, I'm here.
You got me, Gilbert Garcia, with a tip from Gilbert with Mr. Dwight Boykins. What do you got?
Hi, I had a question for Mr. Boykins. I wanted to ask him what was his favorite part about being a city council member and how he could encourage the younger generation to be more active in public service.
What a great question.
That's an excellent question.
Wonderful. What do you got there, Dwight?
Well, I would just give it to you in short, Alejandra. First of all, ask for discernment. You asked me the question, I'm going to tell you my thought on it. Ask for discernment if this is your calling from God, because it's not you, I'm saying whoever. It's a commitment to serve people, not to be concerned about being called honorable or recognized in the community. Commitment to serve people. Then second, I would always tell people, and it's a young man named Rashad Cave, he did it in my district, volunteer. Don't ask for pay. Hop in the car, drive around that elected official of the area you're interested in and see what the issues are in the community. See who the precinct chairs are. Go to meetings. Go help the seniors. Go help clean up neighborhoods, not when it's popular or when people are watching, and figure out what's going on. But while you're in the car with that person, you're hearing a lot and you're learning a lot. So understand the commitment. You may say, I thought this is what I wanted, but no, now I see it and no. Or you may say, absolutely, I'm going to follow through. So that's my advice. Get the experience.
Wonderful. And Alejandro, my daughter just turned 18. Of course, I've done a show on my daughter before because I just love her. And she's my baby, and she's the only one left at home. And she's now 18. And by the way, she's a senior at St. Agnes. I'm going to cry. I am going to cry. I'm going to have to do a whole episode of me crying about her leaving. And of course, my wife always says that, she's going to be getting an apartment next door to her dorm. And so, but going back,
I love it.
My daughter just turned 18. So we're going to go register her. And at the end of the day, everybody register and vote. If you look around, you see things. Sometimes you'll see like the Molly Cook race with Jarvis Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big state Senate race. 72 votes, if I believe, was the difference. And you see that all over America. There's just a small number of votes. Every vote matters. So you got to go out and vote. And young people, get involved. Now, my mom always said, if you don't vote, don't complain. But at the end of the day, it's your civic duty. We want you to vote. And remember all the people in time and history that suffered for that right, that were beaten up, that were killed for that right. So, Alejandro, I'm so glad that you called.
Great question.
Make sure you vote. And I think you're one of those that's probably going to go vote.
Yes, thank you so much. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you for calling in. I think we had one or two more real quick before we go back to the firefighters. And I do want to pay more homage to Sheila.
Yeah.
Because I know what she meant to you, Dwight. Let's go. What's the Alex, is there Alex there? Is there an Alex there on the phone?
Hello?
Hello, Alex. Are you
Hi,
there?
Gilbert, good morning.
Good. What do you got for us on a tip from Gilbert?
Oh, nothing. I was just calling in because I heard that you had Dwight Boykins on the line, and I've heard a lot of great things from him, especially because, correct me if I'm wrong, is it true that Dwight basically grew up on like the east end side of Houston, like around LaPorte and Lawndale?
No, I grew up southeast, Scott and 610. I mean, a freeway kind of take me around that way, but no, southeast, South Union area.
Gotcha. Well, I went to school on Lawndale. Yes, Prep East End. It's not as cool as like Milby and all those bigger schools, but it was still, I like to keep an ear to the ground on the activity on what's going on the East End area or North Side Houston. It's always good to keep an ear out for anything political. And regarding that, I was going to ask, do you have any more plans for any future office? I'm just curious, with all the political, all the events going on, tomorrow's debate. I just wanted to hear if you had any plans for the future.
We got to go to the debate. But you know what? That's a great question. You know what, Dwight? We need you back.
Yeah.
And we need you back. And, the good Lord's given you good health. And I think you got a lot more time to serve.
We have two 4-year terms at City Council, and I have one left.
Oh, good.
You have another term.
Good.
And what I plan to do, I looked at Alex, the congressional seat when Congresswoman Lee transitioned to be with the Lord, and I was very much in that race. The voters would not have had the opportunity to vote. It was based on the precinct chairs because how she passed in office. But then when the family endorsed Turner, I pulled out of it, and my wife and I decided the best thing to do was to honor the wish of the family. And so we did. And now Turner is the congressman. After November, hopefully it'll be the congressman-elect. So we did that. But my drive to continue to help people is there, man. And I look forward to it. And if we take off, Alex, I hope you come join us and you have a vision. You want to help people in your community. I'm here to help you with that too. So it's my call.
That is great to hear.
That's good.
Well, thank you, Dwight.
We need you back.
Yeah.
I did not realize you have another term. Well, that would be a good thing too.
Yeah.
Alex, thank you for calling in, my friend. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I see a lot of emails have been coming through, and we don't need to go through them now. But I just saw a bunch that have been saying good things to you. I don't know if you caught some of those. But let's go to Alejandro Castillo. Don't worry, we are going to talk about that debate here in just a moment. But let's go. Is there another caller or no? Are we clear? Okay, we're clear on callers. Feel free to call in 832-570-8075. So going back to the debate, the funny thing about the debate, Dwight, is first of all, it really, of course, changed history. The last debate,
yes,
it really did. And I watched it, and everyone knows I'm a Democrat, and everyone knows I'm a Biden supporter, but he just didn't look strong, like he's ready to be for another 4 years of commander in chief. He just didn't look like it. I don't want to say he looked old or this or that. At the end of the or tired. At the end of the day, he just did. He was a punching bag for a bully for Trump. And I think in the long run, he did one of the most patriotic thing possible, which is he said, you know what? I see where the polls are. I see what my confidants, whether it's Obama or whomever, are telling me, and I'm going to go ahead. I believe in this woman, and I know she'll be a change agent, and I think I'm going to put that in front of me, and I'm going to support her for president. What a man. How many people would do that? Very few, right? Very few to really do that.
I could tell you, first of all, when we all, God said the same, turn 80, and someone put us in a room and just pound our brain with things to memorize, we probably do the same thing.
That's right.
You need to think about his position. But I think you're absolutely correct, Gilbert. Give him a lot of credit. And history will prove that this man has done some great things since COVID when he took over from Trump, got our country back where it needs to be. But the impact, I think, not only his poll numbers, when they saw the impact on the down ballot races, because
that's a great point.
Oh, absolutely.
Keep going.
We were going to win the House. We're projected to win the House back. And then those numbers in particular swing states start dropping tremendously. I think that sort of got his attention. And our good friend Nancy Pelosi was kind of more firm, I would think, in terms of her opinion on getting him out the race. But back to what he did, I think as a statesman who loves his country, I think it was the right thing. I know it was the right thing. After watching that debate, I almost grabbed my TV like they do after you lose in football games. Your favorite team would throw the TV off the wall, pull off the wall. Yeah. I just couldn't believe it. But I said, it's time. And I think Van Jones on CNN even said it then, that night, as much respect as he has for the president. He couldn't go any further. So, but let's talk about what he did. I mean, what Kamala is doing.
Let's do it.
Whenever you're ready.
Let's go. First, before we go there, so tomorrow's a debate.
Yeah.
I don't know if my producers know. Is it at 7 Central or 8 Central? Do you know offhand?
I think it's 7 Central.
I'm sure I don't know.
We have
7 Central in Houston.
Yeah.
And I guess is it going to be an hour? Do we all know?
I would guess. I'd be surprised it'd be more than that.
Let me tell you, it is must-see TV. Mm-hmm. And I think she's going to do great.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is originally Trump wanted the mics on. Mm-hmm. You know how it can be when you're running for office. The mic's on, and you may say something off color that people don't know. Well, of course, Trump was always talking, and so they went ahead and said, "Well, we want them off," and he kept saying, "No, we want them on." Well, it now was off for the first debate. Well, now Kamala's saying, "Well, we want them on. We want Trump to be Trump for all America to see." And of course, what great irony. Now Trump doesn't want them on. And I think I saw one of his people saying, well, we just can't, let him be him. Very interesting, though, the dynamic about mics being on and off. What do you think about that? Isn't that strange?
Yeah, it's they know.
They know.
His team knows.
They know.
And but it's unfortunate. I'm telling you, let that have been President Obama with one felony, one slip up at the mic. Anything, he'd have been canceled, Gilbert.
Yep.
He was out.
Yep.
And they know all this, and they still voting for this man. And I think it's kind of going back to President Obama. They're saying that about Kamala because she's black, man. And they're supporting him because they don't want a black female.
That's right. So I got a correction here. It's going to be at 8 p.m. Central Time tomorrow.
Okay, got
8 p.m. Central Time tomorrow. Thank you, producers. It's hosted by ABC News.
Yes. And
it's going to be in Philadelphia at the National Constitution Center. It's going to be great. I know that they just can't help themselves. They just really can't help themselves.
But one thing we got to remember about this debate: do not take for granted the moderators, the ABC folk. We don't know how they're gonna control this because CNN didn't do in my opinion, didn't do a good job.
They did not.
No fact check anything. So Kamala we're looking forward to see Kamala prosecute the case against Trump. But if the moderator doesn't allow her, just think about that.
That's right.
We need to understand that. It can.
I mean, that's a good point because he was saying things like, "Oh, if I'm president, I'm going to be solving that Ukraine war in 24 hours. It's like, how are you going to do that? And you know, I mean, really think.
I bet you Rachel Maddow would have said, "Yeah, right," and she'd have got into it.
I mean, he said so many things that are just outrageous.
Yeah,
and he just gets away with saying it. Like, you know what? We're still waiting for. He's going to get Mexico to build the wall. Remember that one?
Yes.
And we're going to get a wall, and the Mexico is going to build it all and pay for it all. Well, what happened to that?
It didn't have the federal agency dollars to pay for whatever portion.
I just think, but go through it. What do you think's going to happen? I mean, I want to hear your thoughts.
Well, I think again, the moderators, man. I got to say how they control it, but I think she will be prepared. I hope she doesn't over prepare, but I feel comfortable listening to her. She may come out the gate over prepared and then relax immediately. Mm-hmm. And once she relaxes, game time. And I think he will, if she could push his button enough, he will get off balance and say stupid stuff, and he'll never be able to get back on balance.
Well, you know, he's the type that it won't be hard to push his button. Yeah. It just won't. Remember when he debated Hillary Clinton? Yeah. There she was. They had one where you could like walk around. You remember that one? And wherever she went, she was talking. He was like trolling her right behind her. Mm-hmm. And it just looks so odd that there he is, like wherever she's walking, he's just there like haunting her, you know? Her, yeah. And he was trying to egg her on. And it didn't work, of course, because she's too smart and classy. But I think that he's going to be his own worst enemy. It's going to happen. We all know it.
Yeah. And the difference between Hillary and Kamala Harris is that she wear what those ladies call them, Stello, with the heels with the spikes.
The stilettos?
Stilettos. Is that
what they call it?
She'll kick him like a horse, like somebody walking behind a horse.
No, she's tough.
She's tough,
This is not some sort of you know.
She'll call him out, man.
That's right.
And but I don't think he'll be that disrespectful, Gilbert. I think it'll be a pretty decent debate from his side. I think from her side, it'll be an excellent debate. I think she's going to hit all points. I think I'm glad to see they get a closing. They won't get an opening from what I read. And I think she's ready, man, and it's going to be good.
I think he's going to say to her a lot of low blows like, here you are the nominee, and you never received one vote. I think he's going to talk about, you didn't earn this by going through a primary, something like that. And then he's going to say, and I got whatever he got, 100 million votes. I think he's going to talk about DEI. And you're just going to be,
I hope he does.
I think he is.
I don't think he's that silly, man. Stupid. But on the vote thing, let me just tell you, you're absolutely correct. But she can hit him so many ways on that, Gilbert. So many ways on that. I don't think he want to open up anything dealing with voting.
Yeah. Well,
national TV with over 100 million people about how he's called, tried not to claim that he lost the race and the whole 9 yards and fraud, and no out of 50 counties, not one of them found fraud. And I don't think he want to go near that, but I don't know what this fool's going to do.
Yeah, he's going to be all over the place. But I just think that, I think he's going to bring up, I hope she brings up what happened there on January 6th. I think it was January 6th. Yes. I hope she brings it up. Mm-hmm. I hope she brings up that he was tried by a jury of his peers. This isn't like political. This is, and from the DA's office, that he's convicted by citizens. And I hope she brings those up. Those are important things to bring up.
One thing that's very important, and you're absolutely correct.
And those aren't low blows.
No.
Those
are facts, man.
Yes.
During the convention, Gilbert, they were showing, during the DNC, they were showing videos of that January 6th riot, and he responded. Man, the impact that had on me, again, it reminded me. I said, boy, she need to run those commercials, that video, in those swing states. I'm telling you the impact it had on me. But one other thing I want to say about the economy, he may try to go to the economy. Let me bring some of your attention, Gilbert. This is what you do for a living, so you understand. A lot of your listeners may not be aware. They talk about the price of food, bread, and the whole 9 yards up, which is absolutely correct. Go to restaurants, price is almost double. It's expensive. But what a lot of people, Kamala is talking about price gouging. You know what she's talking about? What she's referring to are companies. During COVID, we had a price, let's say a loaf of bread was 99 cents or $1.50.
Yep.
After COVID, it went up to $3. These bread companies, these egg companies, these meat companies did not adjust their prices. And when you have one company that owns 5 or 6, they're almost like a monopoly. And so that's what she's talking about, price gouging.
Yep.
And if these companies are forced to bring back down those prices, you will see it even with fuel, man. And so I'm excited to hear her. I hope she get to explain that a little bit, but that's what that's about. And I was surprised to hear it. I'm like, you know what? You're absolutely correct, because they're not adjusting their prices, but it's having an impact. And they're trying to say Biden administration keeping those prices where they are, or raising the prices.
Right.
And Trump keeps saying that, and it's a lie.
I'm so glad she's looking at the middle class.
Absolutely.
Because that's where we really need to focus.
Yeah.
And she's looking at doing, how can we, Vicki, I know you're there. We're going to get you in 1 second. She's looking at getting first-time home buyers.
25,000.
Yes. Can you imagine? Because you can't even buy an affordable house anymore. Did you know in the city of Houston, and by the way, I did build several units, and what's interesting is, you know what I know the biggest obstacle for me to build affordable housing in the city of Houston? Permitting. I mean, Dwight, it was unbelievable. Took me a year, 1 year to get permits. And then, of course, every step of the way, I got to get an inspector. It took so long. It's unbelievable.
Gilbert, I know you got to catch a call real quick. Permit. I'm saying this on the air.
Terrible.
This is important. What are your thoughts from your experience running for mayor? Let's say off the top of the head, we have 42 multi-service centers in the city of Houston. Take 20 based on regions in the city and put sub-permitting offices. And what you're doing is, if you're building in that area, you only go to that multi-service center. You don't have to go downtown permitting center, and you're taking the weight away from the center, and you have those multi-service centers with permanent officers.
I think it's a great idea because, and by the way, I felt that we should have policing spread out throughout the city also, by the way, because there's plenty of office space. I wasn't thinking multi-centers like you are. I was thinking about there's plenty of empty shopping centers that would love to have security and put an outpost there for HPD. But going to your thing, who knows that neighborhood better than the people there in those centers?
Period.
They know. They know, number one, the urgency of it, and they know all about it. And I think that's a great idea. At the end of the day, it's a bottleneck, and people don't recognize you should look at permitting like a profit center, because you need those houses. You need my houses on the tax rolls to raise revenue for the people. And so the more you can't get those things on the tax roll, it's a profit center. And so it'll pay for itself like that. We have Vicki. I know she's been very kind. Let's get her on. Vicki, are you there?
I am just listening to you guys. And these last several years has been my cup of tea. You're talking about the permitting, the delays. I had an interesting situation that happened to me last year when I was doing one of my builds for my investment property.
Tell us about it.
So in my situation, besides having issues with the permitting, the license, what do they call the inspectors? That was one thing. But the second one thing I had, Esther Gilbert, is the public works did not communicate to the permitting department as to where my pipes were at. So there's a lack of delay when it came to the water. So when my people were building and connecting my new build to a pipe, it was an old pipe. I was over there in Magnolia Park. So that communication, it took like maybe a year or so to, communicate what was going on, that the pipe was dead. We had a new pipe. So it was a chaos. Thank God for Councilman Joaquin, who helped push the expedited. But anyway, yes, you guys are singing my song and dance when it comes to construction. However, last year, in the middle of myself, a single Latina woman, I had a goal to hit my $1 million mark. And the Lord said, do you want to make money or do you want to make leaders? And so this is where the HERO program came in, is developing the type of development that we are doing now, is developing our future. That's going to be taking care of us. You, Gilbert, our next mayors.
I appreciate that. Well, you do so much. Tell everybody about HERO. But let the listeners know.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. So what we do, Mission One USA is a nonprofit, listeners. Check it out, mission1usa.com. And we believe in unity in the community. We know that Houston, we are Houston strong. Gilbert, of all people, when we come together, some catastrophes, anything happen, what are we doing? Right? We are working together, and I feel that we have what it takes to continue that mindset, whether we are in the middle of a catastrophe or what have you. We've got to remain Houston strong. So HERO is a program for children and families, for schools and communities to build bridges, gaps, and what have you. But most importantly, what we do is develop leaders. Develop leaders. HERO stands for helpful, encouraging, respectful, on task, at home, school, community, but most importantly, themselves, the child themselves.
How beautiful. I have talked, Dwight, to this group of kids before. Wonderful kids. And that's really where we got to spend time, the youth. Because right now they're hit with so much negativity, whether it's TikTok or whether it's school, and we just need to bring them back into the daylight of caring about themselves, being spiritually grounded, believing in their teachers again, their parents, and working for a brighter future for themselves and the whole community. So I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing.
Yeah, the students were so just touched by your words, Gilbert. And so we're looking forward. We do have opportunities that are happening here in Pasadena. We have been meeting with high schools, elementary, and now partnering with other organizations, and we're all collaborating. So much happening. So check this out, Houston. We do have the Mission One USA News podcast. The second thing we have is live streaming that happens. It's on YouTube if you follow Mission One USA. And then I am right now sitting at a TV station where it is a Hero Network TV.
Oh, how wonderful.
And, yes, TV. And we would love to have you on our show as well, Gilbert. It's the same place. Remember where we interviewed
well, consider it done. Consider it done.
Yep.
I think that's wonderful. Well, before you sign off, just give us a quick, where's your website? How do people get involved? And what's the phone number for the place, et cetera?
Mission1USA.com is our website. And you can visit us on Facebook, Instagram. I mean, we are on LinkedIn. Follow me on LinkedIn, Vicky Cruz, Vicky with an I. And you'll see my initials, EV, at the end. You can also reach out at 832-859-3987 and email at info@mission1usa.com. Our kids are working. They have a project where they're going to actually put together some goodie bags for the homeless, some love with lunch. If you can donate towards that, that would be awesome. We also have another project with seniors. They're collecting toiletries for the seniors and for veterans. Wonderful. Yes. So please, get plugged in. Let's make leaders and teach our kids servant leadership, just like we are. We're the Houston Strong, and we're all leaders here and servants. So let's make it happen, Houston.
I love it. Vicky, thank you for joining us, as always.
Keep doing good work, Vicky. Keep doing it.
She's doing it. Now, Dwight, it's hard to believe, but are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
An hour's almost over. And you were thinking, how long? I said, it's going to fly.
Oh, I know, man.
The one thing I want to make sure, and we're going to get a countdown. Number one, before you're gone, everything, I want to make sure if you have a website or you have a number where people want to get in touch with you, number one, I want to make sure you give it. And number two, on air, and just look in that camera. Number two, I know she meant a lot to you. I know. Just give us a couple of thoughts about the Sheila you know.
I was in Galveston one time, and the guy invited me out. We were sitting down smoking cigars, having a beer. And I was only African-American. And the guy asked me, it was 5 guys. He said, man, why don't you run for Congress? I said, why would I do that? He said, man, that's Sheila Jackson Lee. And he started making comments. And they all was toasted, Gilbert. I said, who is your congressman? He didn't know. I asked everybody around the table, and they didn't know. And I said, so you know what my congressperson doing, and you don't even know your congressperson and what they're doing. And I said, this woman here has represented your community, my community, and others. That's my friend. And of course, when I got on 45, I called her and told her.
I mean, she has a way of being everywhere.
Yeah.
There's like 3 of her. You know what I mean? She was.
You said that at the funeral, Gilbert. You were good.
She was everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I really mean it. And even when we were on the campaign trail, we were respectful. She always said, Gilbert, we may be opponents, but you're my friend.
Yeah.
And I always would say the truth, which is we wouldn't have gotten that $1 billion from the federal government without her. Period.
Yep.
Period. I mean, she was unrelenting to Secretary Treasury of Transportation Ray LaHood. Sheila, we know you're looking down at Houston because we just know it, and we thank you for all that you have done for us. Dwight, I'm going to give you the last word. We got about a minute or two. Whatever you want to say, tell Houston, and please make sure we have if you have a website now that you still keep up, or a web or a number or anything else.
Well, let me say, first of all, thank you, Gilbert, for having me. I think what you're doing for the community, man, not just with the show, but what you're giving to the community means a lot. And I just want to thank you and your family again for your sacrifice to our city. I just want the people in the city of Houston to know, if you want to get involved and make a difference, it doesn't have to be when the camera's on. Do what you can to help somebody. And remember, it'll come back to you. And I just wish you the best. And we have a beautiful city, and don't let nobody talk about our city. Go out and vote. That's important. Please vote.
Yes. And make sure you see the debate tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Central Time on ABC. You got to do it. Dwight, is there a place people can reach you? Is there an email or something? Absolutely. Please, whatever you got.
I'm old school. 713-203-2835 is my personal cell. And I encourage you to text me first, your name and number, and I'll definitely follow up with you.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, Houston, that's another episode of A Tip from Gilbert. And again, we want to thank our partners. We've got KWWJ, Keep Walking with Jesus, KYOK, the legendary, KCOH, The Source, Aliento Radio, Sangeet Radio, and we're going to be getting more stations because I started this about 2.5, almost 3 years ago because I was just tired of all the negativity. There's a lot of good things happening in Houston, and we've got to make sure everybody knows. This is Gilbert Garcia saying we'll see you next time.
To my radio show, A Tip from Gilbert. Talk, inspiration, and prayer every Monday from 11 a.m. till noon on Houston's gospel leader, KWWJ. 1360 AM and streaming live on kwwj.org. Listen on the legendary KYOK 1140 AM and streaming live on kyokradio.org. KCOH 1230 AM, The Source on Sangeet Radio 95.1 FM 1460 AM and Aliento Radio 101.7 FM and 1540 AM. Call in at 832-570-8075 and follow me on social media. See you then.